yes, we have all this opportunity, but everyone's doing it and there's too much noise and it's just, what is the point?
When you're starting a business, your first target as a business owner should be...
Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast, where technology's fast and biz is a blast.
In life and in business, time is precious. It's why customers stay or leave and why businesses succeed or fail. We're here to give a voice to everything that makes business, whether as a customer or as a CEO, easier and more rewarding. Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome, ladies and gents, to episode 36. We are not doing this again. Episode 36. Ladies and gents, you have come into a chaotic virtual room. Well, virtual in my case. If you're watching this or if you're walking your dog and you decide to turn the video on your audio device, what I'm looking at is two 5-year-old adults and a teddy bear, a Steve mascot teddy bear.
He's the most mature individual in this room that we're in right now.
I think so. We have Mikel, CEO of Store Connect, David Breyer, branding extraordinaire. These are professionals, ladies and gents, but you wouldn't be able to tell.
Don't try this at home, whatever you do.
Okay, so they are sharing a microphone because they're in the same room, but we have you both on separate cameras. And it's funny because already, Mikel, you're looking at David when David speaks and David's looking at you. All right, so let's kick into it. We have a few topics to cover. This has been a while. I think it's been a while since the three amigos have been together, and that's why you both are incredibly interesting to deal with right now.
It's a moment of joyous chaos.
It is very joyous. So let's get into the first topic. And David Breyer, you're buzzing with energy. So I'm going to give this topic to you because this morning I went on my emails and I actually got from a colleague of mine sent an article being like, hey, this is interesting information. You should use this and share it on the pod. And it was your article. The statistic that she highlighted for me, which I thought this is pretty cool. And then I'm going to hand the mic to you, David, because you're bursting for it. She said, or it's highlights, you said, David Breyer, 68% increased I'm going to say that again. 68% increased repeat purchases result from superior customer experiences. 53% of bad experiences lead to reduced spending, highlighting the need for quality and service. Now, first question, why is that statistic valuable? Maybe share further that article and anything else that people might find interesting. The mic is yours, David Breyer.
I just wrapped up a meeting, and what was very, very, very interesting about it, highly, highly, highly competitive industry. Now, and I think this is vitally important for anyone in business right now. Like right now, almost everything is becoming kind of like one person's advantage. All of a sudden, tomorrow's going to figure out an AI thing that'll be able to do that, and all of a sudden, now that becomes like, well, that advantage has now just been diminished into, well, everybody can do it. So as a result, I think the speed at which almost everything is becoming highly commoditized is very, very high. So it's like, how do we do that? And the way that we do that is it is incumbent upon us, every customer and consumer, we're going to remember the things that are different and that are unique. We're not going to remember the things that are the same as everything else. We're not. It's like, oh, well, that's like that. If an industry is known for crappy, and you offer another crappy service, then are you going to stand out? No, unless your level of crappy is going to be so outlandishly bad that everyone now is going to blast you on social media, or it's going to be the other way. But differences is what we notice. Differences is what stick out. So, taking that extra step, actually saying hello to someone when you see them in the store. Crazy things like this. Who would have thought that would have been a revolutionary thing to do? Or actually being responsive. But in this particular case, with this meeting I was just in, the entire industry, everyone is saying the right thing. Like the stuff they're saying sounds amazing. It has come down from the high heavens into, oh my God, you are answering all of my things, except it's actually untrue. They haven't backed it up with any actual evidence. They haven't backed it up with anything real. And every one of those claims is simply validating here's the technological stuff that we have. We have all the expensive equipment. We have all of this. We have all that. What they are not quite talking about with any specifics are the human component that actually makes the difference. And so the thing is with these particular guys, and I can't tell you yet, but it is freaking brilliant because it decimates. One of the greatest things any brand can do is it's what I call leveling the playing field. Like everyone's saying, oh, well, we do blah, and we do blah, and we do blah, and we do blah. What I love to do, it's a tactic I've used for many clients, is say, of course we do blah. Everybody does blah. We've now leveled the play. Now everyone's saying, well, we do our flavor of this, our flavor of that. We can do with chocolate swirls. We can do with this. We can do that. Of course we do that. That's baseline. That's not something remarkable. That is what we do. But what makes us different, and what the really important thing is, this whole other. Now we introduce a brand new topic of discussion and a brand new standard and a metric, and that's why everything in terms of customer service, follow-up, pre-sale, during sale, post-sale, that's why all those things come together, and it becomes it's glorious to see in action because it's gorgeous. We remember it. We actually get excited about it. We light up. We like, oh my God, I loved how I felt when I got that, or they over-delivered, or they got it to me a day or two before, or they sent me a confirmation on top of the confirmation and told me about a wonderful birthday party they had just because we're now friends. I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be the most outrageous, but it has to be consistent, real, authentic, genuine, and just adding the human component. The human component, I think, is the first and lasting victim of the advance of technology, because technology gives the apparency that something is happening. But if you go on autopilot and let that happen, your business will suffer, because you've turned the keys to the kingdom over to something that can't think, that can't necessarily perceive the way you would perceive, that can't actually come up with a new dream and connect our current actions to a new dream. Other than that, I got nothing else to say about this.
Wow, mic drop. Well, I have a question to ask both of you then, because you brought up a good point. If you're deciding to open a business, there's way more to consider than it was 20, 25, 30 years ago. A guy who wants to open up a milk bar, there were milk bars all over the place at one point, and you just want to go into business. You want to support the family. Let's have a milk bar. There's not a milk bar on the corner of this street. Let's open a milk bar. And now you have to be really creative, and you have to stand out, and you have to do this. Do you think, both of you, that business owners or just people that are thinking about getting into, oh no, my light, I'm hideous. My light just turned off, my little superstar light, and now you can see all the shadows.
My light.
That was such a buzzkill. I had the spotlight right on me too.
That was classic.
I gotta go back and see my face just drop.
That's the opener of the whole.
That's the opener of the episode right there.
My life.
Okay, the showbiz must go on. Show must go on. Do you think business owners or people have more opportunity now to get into entrepreneurship or opening a business than they did, and being successful in that over a long period of time, than they did 30 years, let's say 30
Absolutely.
years?
Without a doubt, 100%.
What's the main thing that comes to mind? Why?
The amount of things. So there's a double-edged sword, though. So just on David's point, what he was talking about there, it's why the first chapter of the customer commerce book is Be Human, right? You need to have that human interaction. The opportunity now for starting a business, it's so cheap to start a business compared to 30 years ago. In most countries, you can get a business up and running in a few days. That used to take months. You can open a bank account as a business owner. That used to take a long time. You can buy things on credit cards. You can advertise for free via the world's most connected social media application. You know, if you are making things that are unique, you just literally almost have to just record yourself making it and start putting that up as content, and people will click on it, and you can do that work, and the tools and technology to create that are available. The double-edged sword aspect, though, is that you have to learn that. But you have to learn marketing, you have to learn sales, you have to learn all these things. It's all part of the game. It's just a different aspect to it. But the entry cost of being a business owner right now is not zero, but it may as well be. It's very, very low. And yeah, it's huge opportunities. And with AI and with all these other toolings coming out, even some of the stuff that would otherwise take you a long time, you can also get assistance with that. And you can modify images, you can modify text, you can make something sound more professional or less professional and edit it yourself. Just my only word of warning for people starting out in the whole AI world is never confuse AI with I. So I being I, and also intelligence, right? AI is not intelligent. It's artificially intelligent. And AI systems and large language models especially will only ever produce an average, commonly accepted response. And if you're trying to stand out from the crowd, the one thing you don't want is the average, commonly accepted response. And that's where it can get dangerous if you start investing too heavily into that. Use it as a tool, use it as a leverage, use it as a way to cut down some of the mundane. Absolutely great product for that. Don't use it as your differentiation. Find something about what you do that other people go, wow, that's really cool, and then talk about it. But yeah, you can get started right now really fast.
And David, do you agree with that?
I do, and it just corresponds with what I was talking about, because again, if you look at the cost outlay in terms of cash is lower. The savvy, and which includes how are you choreographing the human experience in terms of the customer, and the experience and knowledge to actually make technology an asset to help elevate that. Those are the places that your skill and the knowledge has to be way up. Cash outlay is going to be lower, but these other components have to be higher. And someone who ignores and overlooks, I have found this to be pretty routinely true. Those who overlook the human component externally, meaning like, oh, it doesn't matter if we do this for the client or the customer. Like, it's like, they're not going to really notice, also tend to do the same thing internally. Oh, and so that to me is a short-sightedness. So they'll probably not go that extra mile to actually validate when someone internally has done something great, right? Or to promote them when they've shown great initiative. So I think that I don't think it's gonna be like in one lane. It will be pretty much, wait a second, the human factor has been inappropriately diminished, thinking that other things are going to replace it. And that, to Michael's point, that is you'll bleep this out, that is the stupidest mind fuck that anybody could ever fucking put into place. That is so fucking dumb. And
can you tell us how you really feel, though?
But it's not uncommon, unfortunately, because people are so enamored with, oh my God, look what it could do, look what it could do, look what it could do. He has a lot that it can do. I mean, even to this point, and it's just wild. I had shared an amazing commercial that Honda did like back in 2003. And it was something that took like, this debate. Did it take 60 takes? Did it take 100 takes? Did it take 600 takes? I don't know. It took a lot of takes. But they had to plan this thing. It was like, if you know Rube Goldberg, like, one thing hitting another and knocking another. It really was very much along that thing.
That's cool.
And it was unbelievable. And there's at least, and this went viral. I mean, I think there's over 8 million impressions, seriously, at this point in time. I've never had something go this viral. This went insane. And at least 15% from a very young generation, like the now generation, is like, oh, that's got to be AI. I'm like,
Right.
part of the magic was that it wasn't.
Oh,
Part of the
yeah.
magic is that we actually, they go, there was CGI. Here's the reference. Here's the article. Go look at it yourself. And by the way, I would not encourage you to come to us. I'm trying to be kind. Say, don't make a snap decision. If you're going to be such a shallow, if that's your level of inspection, we are never going to work together. If that's how quickly you come to a faulty conclusion, wow. How long would it take me to verify that this was not AI? I mean, I simply reported that it wasn't. This is pre-AI. Yeah, there's CGI, but they even said it. Where there's CGI, it consisted of splicing because they couldn't do it all in one shot because it was 2 whole minutes of following one thing, hitting another, and the odds of everything going wrong were so high. They got that sliver of potentiality to work, which made it so unbelievable and so remarkably successful. It impacted their sales and all kinds of stuff. But there was literally one place they spliced because they couldn't do it in one take. So it was a splice. It wasn't even CGI, like something did something that couldn't. And so, yeah, it's just the human component cannot be overestimated in its value.
Yeah, that's a beautiful segue actually to this other article that I was reading, because as last week, Michael knows that I read Forbes now, and I just read articles in general.
You had a certain.
She doesn't read Forbes for the pictures.
No, I don't.
That's good. Well, I wanted to say you're exhibiting a certain Forbes like aura,
Oh, it's probably the aura is my bow.
Ah, okay.
Oh, lovely.
Have you noticed I wear a bow now?
That's such a wonderfully.
It's giving like Beauty and the Beast, Belle. You know, she reads lots of books. She reads her articles. Yeah. Anyway, let's not digress. So, because we've digressed enough at the start of this episode. So, to continue on what we've been talking about, actually, the article I read, because I have a yearly subscription to this article now because I read Forbes, but this isn't Forbes. This is Inside Retail Outlook Australia. So we're talking about Australia, but I know that we can, open up to America and the world for this. This is for 2025. So a statistic that came up was 59% of shoppers say personalized loyalty rewards would improve their shopping experience. And there was lots of data on this kind of thing of personalized customer experience. And the stat on this is, it says revenue in Australia, e-commerce, is projected to reach 67.6 billion this year, up nearly 14% from 59.4 billion in 2024, which is from Statista Market Insights, which is funny because everyone's like, oh, the economy, we have to spend less and people are spending less, but you have stats that are going up than the year before. And I just quickly, before I ask your opinion on things, this other paragraph caught my attention because Store Connect has been very pushing and kind of developed the phrase of customer commerce, which, Michael, you've talked about on many podcasts and in many different videos, articles, blogs, that kind of thing. And this guy also mentions around the same concept, if not very, very, very much the same. And he calls it unified commerce. So he says unified commerce is where you put the customer at the heart of every decision. So it's a customer-centric retail strategy that seamlessly connects all sales channels, both physical and digital, through a single integrated platform, plug Store Connect. And then it says, in the next few years, unified commerce will become the industry standard rather than the exception. We already see retailers heavily investing in tech like AI, machine learning, and real-time data analytics to improve their capabilities. So it's almost like that is the trend. It's just worded differently.
Yeah, except unified commerce, again, I think the fault in that communication is it's saying it's putting the customer at the heart of the transaction. But fundamentally, they're putting the customer at the heart of the transaction from the business's point of view on how to extract more money out of the customer. Customer commerce flips the script a little bit and is more about making sure the customer can get what they need out of the company and being human with that customer. I know maybe it's a nuance, but I totally agree. Unified commerce is, you have to start going down this path right now. It's Store Connect fundamentally is unified commerce. We approach, but that's like a technology, right? Customer commerce is more like a philosophy. So unified commerce, and this is probably more the differentiation. Unified commerce is a technology approach. It's how do we get our point of sale, our in-store, our online, our back office, our B2B, our direct-to-consumer, our B2C? How do we get API, mobile? How do we get all of that operating off one set of data? That's a technology problem, right? And you can solve that with various technologies. There's not that many. Salesforce Retail Cloud does it. Store Connect does it. There's a couple of others. I think Adobe has one. But the customer commerce idea is a philosophy, and it's a philosophy of putting the customer and having them as the reason for the transaction and building up the relationship and the humanity of it and keeping that connection to that customer and having them invest in you because you are investing in them, right? And this is the thing where, going back to your point, is it easier or harder to start a business today? It's so much easier. And one of the reasons is you can have direct conversations with customers from all over the world. You know, previously, if you started a business and you made Steve dolls, you would have to somehow get this Steve doll in front of people, and you'd be going to trade shows in your local area, and depending on where you lived, would limit how many Steve dolls you could sell because it would just be a word of mouth process. Now you can get Steve sold internationally and have a direct one-on-one conversation with some random guy in East Sussex asking you about the Steve and can the hoodie come in a blue, and have that instant conversation via a social app. All because you made a video of sewing a Steve foot on and how niggly it was getting the claws right, you know, and you did a whole YouTube video about how much attention to detail you put in to make sure the claws work, right? And this is the difference, I think, between the technology approach of unified commerce and the philosophic approach of what customer commerce is.
I also think like the viewpoint shift or the decision that a business owner is able to make, because you can go with the negative Nancy and be like, the markets are oversaturated. Like, yes, we have all this opportunity, but everyone's doing it and there's too much noise. And it's just, what is the point? It might be super easy to start, but it still might waste some time.
I think on that as well, there's an elevated perception of what is considered successful. And I think that's maybe elevated too high, because when you're starting a business, your first target as a business owner should be make enough money to live on and be able to take a holiday, right? So you should work out what that is. And if you can get your business to that point and profitably so and stably so, then have a look at the next target. Do I want to add staff? Do I want to grow beyond that? You know, and that target might be selling $250,000 worth of goods over a 12-month period. Like, that's not out of the question. Like, it would take work and you'd have to get it done. But part of the problem, I think, is that the current generation of entrepreneurs only see as their role models people that are saying, truthfully or not, is debatable, that, you know, 4 hours a week and they're making $10,000 a week in blah, blah. That's bullshit. I mean, maybe someone is, but it's a lottery ticket at that point. If you can reset what it is you think to be success is to something that's attainable, and then you hit that success, then you can build on that success and you can take the next one and the next one and the next one. All great entrepreneurs have done that, like, without fail. It's incredibly rare to meet a good long-term entrepreneur that just hit it big once and they've just continued to hit it big through no amount of work. All the great entrepreneurs have done A, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F. And now somewhere at like M, they're now this worldwide name. You only know them for LMN, right? You don't know about A through K, but that happened. And now they're up here and you're going, well, I just need to do L, M, and then I'll be where they are. It doesn't work that way. And I think, if anything, that's the flaw of our current modern society, is that the delayed gratification aspect of what it takes to truly be successful is severely underplayed and undercommunicated on how much actual work it takes.
I remember when Gary Vaynerchuk, who everyone...
Great example.
You know, I mean, Gary is like, he was always known for like hustling hard, hustling fast, talking truth.
Kissing Michael Lindsar.
Exactly. Kissing Michael Lindsar.
Yeah.
And
Did that really happen?
Totally, at a conference. It was hilarious.
Gary's like any good storyteller. He could tell the same story 50,000 different ways and you won't get bored. But, you know, there were certain things he was hitting on, hustle, da, 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 da. But it was when he made a pivot and he said, your problem, he goes, one of the things you don't realize about me is I'm incredibly patient. And he goes, your biggest problem is that you're too impatient. And people go, wait, Gary Vaynerchuk and patience in the same sentence? Their minds melted. But I remember that, and it was just so, and when he started to explain it, you started to go, oh my God.
He's in it for the long game.
He's in it for the long game. And I even had this conversation with someone the other day. They were talking about a particular project that I'm deciding whether or not I'm going to work with this person. And I told him what it's going to be. And he goes, well, you know, so David, what's your hourly fee? I said, I don't operate that way. I said, whether it takes me 20 hours or 40 hours, I frankly couldn't give a shit. I said, the bottom line is I'm telling you what I'm going to deliver to you, and I will deliver that to you. And that's my fee to do that. You know, if it takes me less and I make more per hour, hip, hip, hooray. If it takes me longer and I made less, you know what? I don't care, because I'm in for the long game. I'm doing fine. And, you know, I don't know where you're at. I know where I'm at. I'm doing just fine. And so it's like, you can either live with that answer or you can't live with that answer. I said, but besides the fact, and then I flipped it on him, and he didn't even expect me to do this. I just said, besides the fact, what's the average value of your usual deal? I already knew the answer, and I already knew one deal already would have covered my fee. So it's like, don't even talk to me. Don't even ask me such a stupid question. You're insulting both of our intelligences. In fact, my IQ went down just by talking to you. This is disgusting.
Oh my gosh, we're bringing it to life right now. Okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up before it gets any more intense.
We're going to find who this person was and send them this video, just like a...
I know. Gentlemen, thank you very much for an entertaining 30 minutes. I got to charge my light. I'm going to let you guys go. Ladies and gents, we'll be back with you next week for another episode. That's it. Okay. Guys, I highly suggest, if you're listening, to get on LinkedIn. I'm going to post these on YouTube Shorts. I feel like this podcast is just getting roguer and just unhinged. All right.
I'm reevaluating our guest structure as we speak. Good night.
Okay, guys.
Bye. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you had an awesome time, leaving you with ideas on how to improve your business and wow customers. If you'd like to leave a real customer's story, head to the link in our show notes and cuss away. Love the show? Please subscribe and leave a review, because that enables us to help more businesses in building real relationships with customers and grow more rapidly. See you next time.